Hi, Robert. How are you?
I'm doing really well, thank you, Pani. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Of course. Very nice to meet you all the way from UK.
That's it. Yep. Hailing UK, where basically tea and biscuits reign supreme.
What's COVID like right now over there? How are you guys dealing with the Delta variant?
Yeah, so right now it's kind of like fluctuating because we're being told now that we're going into like the green zone. Basically, we just
Mm,
moved from amber into green, so things are actually calming down a lot more. Like people are going out a lot more, and almost like it never happened kind of thing. And it
wow.
does worry me because it's as far as I see it, things are never going to be the same again. We have to embrace this new normal and be more cautious and careful. So yeah, it's very interesting to see. Like I don't know why it is. People want to not feel like their life is being ruled by everything that COVID has brought our way.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad, really. But you know, we have to be more careful, and it's the kind of the new norm that we need to adapt to.
It's just that people are over it, you know? I feel like in the beginning, like a year ago, when it first came, everybody took it so seriously. Well, not everybody, but people with good brains. They did the whole quarantine lockdown, but now it's been so long, and like it just goes away, and then a new variant comes, and then it goes away, and then it comes back harder and stronger. So then it's just like, you know, I just want to go out.
Absolutely. People are sick and tired of it. That is the reality, and yeah, unfortunately, it's like
Yeah.
what do we do about it? I think at the end of the day, I know this sounds kind of silly, but what is life without a few risks? And if you're going to
Yeah.
let something like this get in the way of the things that you really want to, it's not worth it. It's not worth letting this get in the way of the things that you want to do and need to do in your life. There's precautions that we can take, and let's be as sensible as we can whilst trying to live as normal life as we can.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's like people are either sick and tired of the new variant or they're in Mykonos. It's like one or the other. Like
Yeah.
people are like either like super freaked out about it or they're just like on top of tables popping champagne. I love the difference between types of people. All right.
That's it.
So, you're a brand strategist and a marketing and advertising expert. And I think it's so awesome having you on. I've never had somebody like you on, honestly. So I think this is going to bring a whole new set of like knowledge and information to my listeners and to myself. So I just want to like ask you, how did you even get into marketing strategy? Like, how did you start doing that? Did you used to do anything before that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, to give you a little bit of a background, I started out in graphic design. So, I initially started obviously, I did my college studies, and then I moved on into a publishing house where I kind of like managed their graphic design department. Uh, I started off as an intern, and then I kind of like managed the entire department. And then through working in the company for over 7 years, basically learned everything there was to know about a lot of the branding side, a lot of the marketing side, and even dipped my toes into like a little bit of advertising. Like it was one of those roles where I was doing almost everything, right?
Mm,
So like I was managing the brand, I was creating a lot of the collateral and material for like the in-house brand, for events, for like award ceremonies, and then even working on like so again that's kind of like the marketing, like the physical marketing needs of all these different global events around the world. So yeah, that's kind of how I got into it, and then like after 7 years, I was kind of like I want to try something new.
mm,
And I think that I've learned everything that I can do at this company, I kind of hit the ceiling of my potential at the company. I was like, now it's time for a change. Like, I need to challenge myself more. And for me, like, I'd done all I could. And I was like, you know what? I think I want to try something and build something of my own.
Mm-hmm.
Because I kind of quickly realized that the corporate life, there was something about it. Like, I just felt like I'm always working for someone else.
Mm.
And I wanted to change.
Yeah, makes sense.
Quickly kind of start, yeah. And then, like, I started my own business, and I initially thought that, maybe starting up my own design business is what I want to do. So I like dabbled in a little bit of like freelance design, and did like a lot of marketing around that. But then, like, another realization hit that, like, so I'm basically just doing everything that I was doing in my corporate job. I've built my own business, but I'm still working for other people. And like, how do I start transitioning into like this new phase of like, can I make this a little bit more about like, building something that works on its own without me
Mm-hmm.
really having to be there all the time. So this right now is like, is my next step. And I do some coaching on the side for people who are looking to build their own brand, because that brings me with it fills me with a lot of joy, being able to guide people to doing this themselves, build their brand, and kind of put the sales that they make and the idea that they want to achieve on autopilot. But
Mm-hmm.
this is like this basically building an empire that works on its own is like a new venture of mine that
Right.
I myself and my business partner are leaning into. So yeah, that's my journey of the advertising and the
Yeah.
marketing and the design.
So now it's at a point where it's almost like a passive income, right? Because you don't have to necessarily be there the whole time.
Exactly that. And like, right now I am looking to scale it like exponentially, but I have like a passive model built
Mm-hmm.
now, and it just needs to be like, scaled to the next level.
How are you going to do that? What plans do you have to scale it?
Yeah, so right now it's going to be through a few channels. One of the methods that we are looking into is a podcast that we have that is basically going to be featured alongside some of the biggest people in the business industry. Like, we are talking people like Chris Doe from the future. We are talking, hopefully, and I like to dream big here, but we're
Mm-hmm.
attempting to get people like Grant Cardone on the show. We already have like some well-renowned famous storytellers such as Pat Flynn, and he's also
Mm.
I'm not sure if you know of Pat Flynn, but he
That's
has the
that sounds
passive income.
really familiar, but I can't I don't remember how I know that name.
Yeah, so he is the founder of I think passiveincome.com, and he hosts the Passive Income podcast, which has something like 60 million downloads. So like a huge audience. We had him on our show, and he was absolutely phenomenal, and he gave us so many gems on how to kind of like, like take the whole passive income model
Mm.
to the next level. And he was like, through the podcast and what you guys are doing right now, this is going to be one of those avenues. But we're also looking at like, you know advertising routes as well, putting out more products that can generate income so that we can spread more awareness on what we're doing, and just kind of like start to automate it through awareness,
Yeah.
building trust, conversion, getting people into the cycle, nurturing them, and just, keeping them in our close community. Because we have like our own kind of community over on Discord that people come into, and they feel connected with all the other members. So yeah, these are our next steps, and we're really just like, doing everything we
Yeah.
can right now to put
Yeah.
everything to the next level.
Well, it's really good to see how a brand strategist would go about branding their own, well, brand. So, I kind of want to like keep an eye, because I know you definitely know what you're doing, and I want to get inspired, and maybe, I can pick up a few tricks from you.
Here's hoping. Here's hoping that what I
Yeah.
share can definitely, leave you with some nuggets of wisdom. So whatever questions you have for me in terms of pulling apart the whole brand strategy process,
Yes.
I'm ready.
Okay. So, a lot of things looking at your work caught my attention, and I have a lot of questions for you. As you saw, I sent you a draft. I don't even know if we're gonna be able to cover all those things. But I kind of want to like start with, so obviously what you do, you have like many clients, and help them build their brand. And how do you get inspired to be creative with every brand, like in a different way?
Yeah. So for me, it's that every single brand and many of the people that are behind those brands, right, like the workforce behind the brand, they all have a story to tell, right? There is a reason why that business exists, to serve the customers that they are trying to serve. And through that story, it it pulls apart so many different emotions, so many different things that you can share with that audience to start creating like a relationship between the brand and the consumer. So that for me is like, how brands go about really forming strong relationships and building such powerful brands is the story, is the
Mm-hmm.
story behind that brand, and that's where I find my creativity.
Love it. Um, the whole storytelling thing seems to be such a huge component when it comes to selling anything. And you touch on this with your work and like the videos and your content you put out. And you bring an example of, for example, really big brands like Nike and Disney. And so can you just kind of like bring a few examples? Like, how do you think brands that are that humongous, how do they tap into that storytelling and selling that like emotion?
Mm. Yeah, it's a really, really good question. And I believe a lot of it starts with the consumer. So it's really understanding who that consumer is in order to craft the story that is intended to connect with them. So taking Nike as a perfect example, right? What they do is, they sell the hero and the villain inside every single consumer. They they pull you up on the things that you're not doing, right? Those fitness goals that you want to achieve, but they also say that you're entirely capable of making it happen. So an old campaign that Nike had done, there was a conversation between, it was one man, but it was a conversation between himself, and one person was trying to hold him back while the other person was saying, I need to keep running, I need to keep going. So it was using that method of storytelling and an internal dialogue within the man to say, like, you can either hold yourself back from, this ideal lifestyle, this future state that would make you a better person, or you can run, you can make yourself better, you can become the person that is going to kind of, I guess, make you reach your full potential. And that's what Nike has always done so like incredibly well, is that they have a very strong understanding of who their consumer is, so they're able to tap into the emotional barriers that are kind of holding the person back, but also speak to exactly what they want to achieve. um, so yeah, like Nike is a perfect example, and another one is of course like Disney. Through all of their stories, they use a solid framework, right, which is like, and I'm sure you've probably seen it, you may even know it, but it's that there is always a main character, right? Always. There's always supporting characters around this main character, but everything is focused on this one person achieving their goal. And that's the next part of this framework, is that there is always a goal, something that this character really wants to achieve. But what really makes the story powerful is all of the conflict that happens to prevent people from reaching that goal. So to like break it down, you know, like Aladdin, when, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Aladdin.
Of course.
Thank God. But you know, his main goal is to win the heart of this woman who he's just met, and he's been blown away by her. And now his mission, you know, his goal is like, how do I get this person to recognize me? Because all of his life, you know, I think it's been basically without love, without having any connection with people. You know, he's always been on the streets. He's had to fend for himself. And he's like, okay, like, this is it. This is my moment, like to find something where I can belong and be happy. So like that becomes his goal. But all of the things that happen to kind of stop him from, you know, being with the woman that he feels like he loves. Like, you know, he has like, obviously, like the villain is Jafar, stopping him with all of his, like, you know, his tricks and things like that, trying to stop him from attaining the goal. But also there's a lot of like mental barriers stopping him from like, you know, achieving that goal as well. You know, he doesn't feel good enough because he's
Right.
you know, he's on the streets and she's a princess. How do,
Princess.
and the conflict is so strong that it's like, how does it become possible? So this is what, like, I think that you know, great brands do so well. They know their customer and they know like exactly what goal they're trying to achieve, and
Mm-hmm.
how to really paint the roadblocks that they face
Yeah.
and guide them to achieve it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that you have these like charts that on your Instagram page that like they basically tell you like if you're trying to like start a brand or start a business, this is like the steps you need to take. And
Yeah,
always one of the first steps is know who your target audience is, know what they want. And this is something that like you see like these huge brands and all of their like mottos, their slogans, like with their advertising, with everything, they know who they're targeting. Like they know who they're targeting, they know what the goals of that audience is, and they strategize exactly based on that.
exactly this. And I mean, so for like a lot of brands, there is and especially for people that, you know, I'm not sure how many of your audience are like, you know, maybe you know, single business owners, right? They don't have a team, they're entrepreneurs, they're on
Yes,
their own and
a
they're
lot
doing their
actually.
own.
Yeah.
So for you know, anyone listening in right now who is doing everything on their own, there is an element of having to start with you. I know that I like, and I mean, it's something that I preach a lot, that you have to focus on your ideal customer first, but you have to start with you first. And I'll tell you
Yeah.
why. That if you focus on someone else and you map out everything that is intended to serve them to the best of your abilities, but then later on you realize that this person is not the person that you really wanted to see yourself working with, then you failed the first hurdle of, like, you know, being in business for a very, very long time.
Mm.
So this is why I kind of say to people, think about yourself first. You have to be a little bit selfish and say, who is that dream customer that I would want to work with? Not who's the dream customer that needs this product or this service that I have to sell, but
Yeah.
who can I see myself in a room with today, tomorrow, and 10 years from now? Who would I love to serve now and forever? Because once
Yeah.
you've got that down, that's when you focus on the customer.
That is so true. And I'm just realizing now that like unconsciously, like not knowing at all, that's exactly what I'm doing with my podcast too. Cause I definitely had a phase where I was thinking like, oh, I'm, connected with so many like big influencers and like TikTokers and, they have like a lot of followers. I was like, I can like, and people like those people because they're so popular. I have so many followers. I was like, I can bring these people and then they'll like promote my page or like my, podcast, and it'll like get attention much quicker. And very, very like immediately right after that thought, I was thinking, but then I want to bring people that, like, I'm not saying I don't want to talk to those people, like they're fun, but I was like, I want to bring people that I personally want to really talk to, not so much thinking like who everybody else wants to see and who everybody else would like to, like, who do I want to talk to? What do I want to get out of this? So yeah, that selfishness that you're saying 100% is like, because then you get to enjoy it a lot more, and that, translates. People pick that up, hopefully.
I like 1,000% agree. And then you start realizing through that energy that you have, like with these other people that you're bringing onto the show, that, your podcast, the entire presence just like elevates the entire experience because you're having so much fun. So everyone who decides to stay through like this transition of, like, as you said, like maybe reaching out to every famous TikToker and Instagrammer
Right.
that you see, like there might be a few people that drop off, but those that
Yeah.
are really dedicated to everything that you do and are hooked on these new people that you're bringing onto the show, like it makes their experience 1,000 times better and you attract your tribe.
Very true. So you have a video on this that was very interesting to me. You talk about branding secrets, right? That
Yeah.
like nobody talks about, nobody teaches you. And obviously going in as a new business owner, as a new entrepreneur, you're not really going to know these things.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those things that really caught my attention is obviously every brand and every business wants to sell something, right?
Mm-hmm.
But why don't brands that are built around selling do well?
So I guess what you could say is, from a consumer aspect, when it always feels like a sales pitch, it immediately repels people.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you walked up to somebody in the street with, like, a box of goods and like a box of DVDs and said, "Hey, do you want to buy a DVD?" Your immediate gut reaction is, "No, I don't want to buy a DVD." Right? Like you have no idea what the DVD is. You don't know if you're gonna like it. You don't even know if you don't trust it.
Yeah.
Like who are you? Why are you
Yeah.
trying to sell me this? So when you immediately start off with selling, it sets like you never get off on the right foot. But when you get to know the people who you'd like to sell to, when you build that relationship with them and kind of help them through their decision making phase with free value, it's like, okay, well, this person took the time to understand what my biggest struggles are, and then, like, still, and something for me is to not hard sell anything ever. You paint what the solution would look like to your ideal customer. You don't
Right.
need to sell to them when you have a solution. And so trying to like work this a DVD scenario, right? If, for example, rather than running up to someone in the middle of the street and saying, "Hey, do you want to buy a DVD?" you were to say, like, how does an evening in with your girlfriend, with your family, like, having an evening in with popcorn and being able to enjoy a beautiful moment,
Mm-hmm.
with your family for 2 hours of your time, rather than worrying about work, rather than worrying about everything that you've got to do, like the cooking, the cleaning, you switch off and you enjoy this beautiful moment. How would that sound to you? Sound
Yeah.
absolutely amazing, wouldn't it? And then it's like, oh, hey, hang on a minute, like, do you have DVDs by any chance? It's almost like you put something in front of people that they want, but you don't just
Yes.
say, hey, buy it.
Yes.
That's how to do it. Um,
Yeah.
so that's what I feel is important.
So, people naturally, right off the bat, obviously don't trust a stranger that they are just, seeing for the first time. And it's when you're selling something, it's so much about, obviously, as you mentioned, it's navigating your customers past their barrier of skepticism. And
Mm-hmm.
that's like an art form of its own. That's like what really selling comes down to. And when I was really, really young, like when I was like 18, 19, 20, I had this really shitty job that I stayed in for far too long. But what it was that we were selling newspapers, right? I feel like everyone has done that at some point. I don't know if it's just like a States thing, but I feel like every young person has sold the Sunday paper at some point in their life. So what we would do, they would give us like a plastic table, with like a little, like, whatever over it, and like some pamphlets, like nobody really cared. And we had like an iPad, and all we wanted was to get people's information, but like every information. So it's like we're getting their phone number, their email address, their home address, and their credit card number. So that we can charge them a monthly subscription fee and then send them the Sunday paper. So not only nobody really wants the Sunday paper anymore
Mm-hmm.
to begin with. So it's like we're selling something that not that many people even want anymore. On top of it, where literally our stand would be like in a supermarket, not even in a supermarket, outside the supermarket. They wouldn't even let us in the supermarkets, so we would just like be chilling like right outside. And on top of it, you're like taking all of their information. Like people don't even give out their correct email address because they don't want to be like spammed. But it's like we're asking for their home address and their credit card number. And obviously the hardest part was to get them to reach in their bag and pull out that credit card. And like all day we would work, we were like waiting for that moment that like, they would just okay. And they would like give out their credit card, and we would make a commission out of that. So I did surprisingly well in that job, which is why I stayed for so long. And very soon I figured out, yeah, people are not going to give me their credit card number. So what I did, I bought $10 gift cards from whatever store, grocery store, whatever it was. And I would tell them, I'll give you a $10 credit card, or I'll give you a $10 gift card if you sign up for the newspaper. Yeah, I would bite that $10 out of pocket, but my commission was more than that. So if they if they made a subscription and they would stay, they only had to stay 1 month. If they canceled before 1 month, I would be screwed. And a lot of them did. But I would kind of be like, okay, just like please, like don't cancel before 1 month. And I would be like sweet and like likable, like gain people's trust. But it's like I didn't know what I was doing. But this is exactly what I was doing. I was giving an incentive, right? Exactly what you're saying. You have to put something in front of people that they want, especially if they don't trust you, in order to get something from them. And very early on, I realized people are not going to give me their credit card numbers. I'm some 18-year-old standing outside of a grocery store, So that
This
helped
is
me
it.
a lot. Like I remember the regional manager came and she was like, what are you doing? Like, how are you like selling so much? And I was like,
Don't tell anyone. No, but that's such a good strategy. Is to give value to get value, right? So it's really, really impressive that even at that age you'd worked out like a decent strategy to get better conversions, because like they immediately see you, they don't know who you are, but like you said, you were really sweet, and so that immediately, like having that conversation with them and being like, here's what it is, and trying to build like a little bit of rapport with them, and then being like, look, here, if you sign this up, you get this gift card. Then it's like, oh, okay, well, it's like you're giving me something, and hey, I love a gift card, right? So
Yeah.
this feels easier, that
Hmm.
there's value to be had by doing this. I'm very, very surprised that you managed to get people to part with their credit card number. They're very surprised. So kudos to you.
Yeah, and it's, you know, like all the guys at the office would be like, "Oh, you're just making all these sales because you're a girl," and I was like,
It doesn't work like that.
I'm not gonna tell you what I'm doing because I want to stay the top seller, but I bet you that's not the reason." And yeah, and like another thing I noticed was that like if it was like a group of people, like let's say it was like a lady and like two of her friends, if one of them would do it, the other two would do it. 100, like almost 100% of the time, as if
Yeah.
like they don't trust me, but they trust their friend who just subscribed, so then they would do it, you know. So but then the opposite would work also, like if one of them, if the first one wouldn't do it, the other two wouldn't even listen to me. They would
Yeah.
just leave. I got rejected so many times doing that. That job really humbled me.
But this is the thing, and then this is psychology. It's how people work. So like
Right.
when other people see other people doing things, they naturally tend to follow what they do,
Hmm.
and especially if it's a friend, because there's a close connection. They trust in their friends, so their friend's decision becomes their own
Yeah,
decision, and it's how it works. So yeah, how people how they work.
100%. um Sometimes, you know, some guys would be like, "I'll subscribe if you take my number," and I would be like, "Yeah, I'll take your number, subscribe."
Credit card.
I I didn't say I'm gonna text you back or, you know, answer the call. I just said I'm gonna take your number.
The
So
only digits that I'll be taking is the last three digits on the back of your credit card number, please.
no, we would take the whole credit card number. Like honestly, it was so sketch.
Sounds really dodgy.
I know. And like my least favorite people ever are like the people like, you know, in the middle of the mall and they like follow you to like sell you a cream or something. And it's like, see you, like you're hiding, you're like running and you look to your left and they're like right there. You're like, how do you keep finding me? Like they're so scary. But you know, that's exactly what I used to do. But with newspapers.
There you
Um,
go. I mean, you gotta live through some experiences. I think they all give you valuable kind of life lessons as well, and it seems to have shown from what you told me. So even that alone has given you a story to tell today,
yeah,
um, for everyone, which is phenomenal.
yeah. Oh, true. Experiences. So how can you take your brand from being super new and, you know, no one caring, no one trusting it, to slowly building trust and basically creating an unforgettable brand?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, I would say start with one person,
Mm-hmm.
and and okay, so like start with that one person being you, and then understanding who are the people that you truly want to surround yourself with, and then finding those people that you truly want to like surround yourself with, making an effort to connect with them, to have conversations with them, to learn about them, to show them that you care about like where you would like them to be in their life, right? You find
Mm-hmm.
out what their pain points are, and uh, what does their life, their ideal life, look like in 10 years, and then make it your commitment to be like, okay,
Mm.
well, that is what I now need to focus on. This is going to become my mission, to see you go from A to B all the way through to Z. Like I want you to do so well in life, and like I say, like making that your mission and doing everything that you can every single day, to make it happen. And obviously, you need a plan for that. You need to start looking at exactly what transformation your product is going to offer them, and you need to break down
Right.
your product into like little mini transformations that you can actually market to the consumers that you're trying to reach, to say, by the way, I'm not all about selling you a paid product. I actually want to give you something for free because,
Mm-hmm. Because they
again,
care
you
about
know,
you.
exactly, because you care.
Yeah.
So that for me is, I would say, the best way to go about, you know, becoming memorable is to start small with one person and just keep kind of like, once you know that you've connected really well with one person, is move on to that next person, because
Yeah.
you've made an advocate. They will tell other people about you. And
Mm-hmm.
when one person tells another, two people tell four, four people tell eight, it's just, you will continuously expand. And by having a close knit understanding, a tight knit understanding of a few, like a small group of people, you're able to
Mm-hmm.
scale it, because people are not too different from each other when it comes to problems. Like, we all have very similar problems. It's just we cope in different ways.
Yeah. So basically building a community of people
1,000%.
who on some level identify with you or your brand.
Absolutely. And that's why I take it back to that, like, beginning of the people that you want to surround yourself with, really understanding, you know, your background and your history, what you're all about, you know, your personality and your values as well in life. You know, what do you believe in, and what are your must haves in your life, and what are your must nots? Like, what can't you stand to see in life, and what do you want to see? When you start finding those people and also communicating those values to people, you find that you connect with people a lot more, and you find like-minded people. Because one thing that I've noticed is that, like, you know, being in the content marketing business for so long, is that, you know, all of the tips and things that you can give to kind of like help people, they only work to kind of like serve people to a degree, right? The practical
Mm-hmm.
tips are like phenomenal for helping people from going to A to B, but they still don't really trust in you unless you form that emotional connection.
Yeah.
um, and that's where values are so important, that people can kind of like find, like, see a little piece of themselves in you and in your story, to say, you know what, that's exactly what I've been going through, or that's what I believe in. So because you believe in that, I trust you too.
Yeah. Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. I feel like there's a very obvious distinction between brands that are kind of like, screw you, pay me, and they try to like cut corners and save money. And, you know, it's kind of like a older, I feel like, mentality when it comes to business of like getting ahead and hustling and, you know, stepping over whoever you need to, and, you know, getting like the cheapest and selling the most. And I feel like nowadays people understand psychology of selling a lot more, and you really see brands that put empathy in their business do so much better. And this could be like really small things, like when you order something and it comes with a little note that says, thank you for being a customer, we hope you like this, like if you don't, please like let us know. And it's like, it's showing that care and compassion and empathy that some brands put into their business. And you're like, oh, these people are not just like sending their stuff out and like whatever. It's like, no, they're, each customer is important to them.
This is why Apple to this day has been the absolute leader in,
Mm-hmm.
as far as brands are concerned. They own the market, because they have that level of dedication to the consumer. And as you said, like, it's not about being the selling the cheapest, fastest solution, because Apple is anything but cheap. You know, they
Yeah.
sell the most, you know, pretty much the most expensive
Mm-hmm.
in the entire technology industry. But what they strive for is excellence, and they strive for quality, and they strive for customer
Mm-hmm.
service, to make every single person feel like you are sorted. If anything is wrong with your product, we will fix it, because you know, their guarantees on the products are absolutely ridiculous, right? Like, it's like,
Yeah.
you're covered, you're sorted, right? You don't have to worry about it. You've already spent everything in your bank, so don't worry.
Yeah, yeah. I think the most important thing when it comes to customer care is that you don't have a single thing to worry about attitude. You should not have a single thing. You want a refund? You got it. Go try it. You don't like it, come back. Like, that is the best attitude to have. Because when you're spending, especially if it's like a lot, the biggest thing you want to know is that you're, as you said, you're sorted out, you're taken care of. If you happen to not like something, they're not gonna like give you attitude. They're not gonna like, you know, they're just gonna give you whatever you need. And that's the
Exactly.
best attitude to have.
Absolutely, especially for product-based businesses, you know, like that guarantee, I feel like is absolutely essential. I have come across some service-based businesses that, for example, they won't give a money-back guarantee, and it's very very interesting. And I've seen a lot of people do phenomenally well, um, even when offering this. And because the way that they see it is that their program is intended to like guide you through the set phases, and it is your responsibility. You are accountable to getting this done. It's not about not liking it. It's been built for you. It's been battle tested. Other people have seen success from it. So therefore, if you didn't succeed, you did not follow the program. Now, it's one of those, what I would say, a marketing method of putting all onus on the buyer. And it's like, I guess, like you could say like a do or die mentality, that you have to succeed, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
It forces people in their mind to say, you have to do this. You have to see this through to the end, and you have to complete it. You make it your mission to win, because if we give you a money back guarantee, if we say that it's fine if in 3 weeks you don't like it, what's happening is it's painting this like reality of you could just be lazy, especially for courses and course programs. So if you have any course sellers, you know, this is something to keep in mind, that these money back guarantees can paint this idea of people being a little bit too lax with the course and not putting in their 1000% to really see the transformation come to life.
Yeah. Well, it's a really good tip. You gotta let people's minds just be loose and lazy, which is where people want to be. If you're putting that kind of pressure of like, you have to decide right now. I'm like, I don't know. I need at least a month to know anything.
but this is it, and this is why it works so phenomenally well. Because again, kind of like taking you back to that Nike story that I told you, it's like putting all of that accountability on the person and saying, you know, you can choose to stop, you can choose to do nothing, you will not get your money back. You can choose to run, you can choose to succeed and achieve that dream that you chose to chose to grab the bull by the horns and seek when you signed up to this course.
Yeah.
And the same goes for anyone offering services. It does not need to be a course. You know, it can be your program, your coaching program, anything that it is that you're trying to do. That there is that element. But with products, in terms of like physical goods, like a mobile phone or anything like that, I don't think you can get away with that kind of thing, right? Yeah. Like it's like a trade-in standard that give me my money back if I don't like it.
It's true. And it's like, you may think, but there are cheaters out there. There are people who are going to use my product or they're going to use my course, and on the very last day before they get charged for the new month, they're going to cancel. And it's like, yes, those people exist. But keep in mind, people are generally lazy as fuck. People don't even read the terms on their credit cards or like the contracts they're signing. Like, no, people are not generally going to keep track of this thing. Yeah, maybe like some 1 or 2 out of 10, but it's like, you shouldn't care about that, you know? Right?
Yeah, I love that you said that.
The general of the people is like, they're forgetful. Well, not they, we are forgetful. Like, I'm very much like that, like forgetful, and you're lazy, and you're like, oh, I subscribe for that thing. Like, sometimes I get charged for things that I like haven't even used for months. And then I'm like, I should probably cancel this.
You're like, Yeah, but then I have to go into my banking and then I have to like go online and I have to like remove it.
Like, you want me to call a customer service number from my couch? Ah, no,
It's such a
too much
chore.
work.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, like, yeah, as you said, and I mean, another thing as well, just to paint this picture of laziness is that, like, half of the things that I do, like, if it's a video, something I need to learn, I'll watch it on 2 times speed. I don't mind listening to someone that's like a squirrel. I will pick it up and I will learn. Or like WhatsApp messages coming through, I'm like, yeah, I'll listen to my mum on 2x speed. She's rabbiting on for 5. I have to cut that down to 2 minutes and 30.
You can do that. You can listen to your mom's like voice memos on tube, because you need to teach me that. My mom sends me like
Yeah,
5-minute voice memos and like 5 of them in a row.
I'll have to send you a screenshot on WhatsApp of how to speed up the message
Oh, is it on WhatsApp? It wouldn't
on
work on
WhatsApp.
text.
No, head over to WhatsApp. That's where it's at. Mom, I'm on WhatsApp now.
Oh man. Okay, so what are some main reasons that like a brand wouldn't sell? Let's say a brand that pays attention to a lot of the things that you're saying. They know their target audience, they're building a community, they think they're doing all the right things, but what are some of the main reasons you've seen that like a brand just doesn't sell? What are some popular mistakes people make?
Mm. I mean, most commonly, if they've got all of the things in place in terms of like, they know their customer really well, they know how to speak to the pain points, and everything as far as like leading the customer to a sale. I would say the reason why, and I mean, this is me targeting it towards more personal brands right now, as opposed to business, because most of my clients tend to be people as opposed to like businesses.
Mm,
And most of the times it's really like their sales process. So it's actually understanding, okay, it's great. I've generated all of this awareness and I've got people inquiring on my services or on my products, but what's not happening is that at that point of sale, when it comes to actually converting, like that final stage, for example, like people reaching out to you on an Instagram DM, you're at any point losing their trust in you. So there's something that you're saying that maybe isn't converting them into a buyer, right? They're losing confidence. Maybe it's in your response time,
mm,
because that tends to be like, for all of us trying to get back to like people's inquiries on like services and things like that, it can be hugely challenging, especially if you've got like 100 to 200 people messaging you every day for services or sending you emails. It gets tough to get through all the inquiries, but
mhm.
response times is super important, and actually having systems in place that can build additional trust with a consumer, because it's and again, taking it back to a lot of the people I work with, like content marketers and things like that, they feel like their content is enough, right? They feel like
Mhm.
that just by looking at a piece and it's telling about this and it's giving you a valuable tip and it spoke about something you want, they feel like that is enough. And most of the times it's not. Like, more work needs to be done, like more
Yeah.
social proof needs to be built. They need to see other people that are buying from you in order to finally say, okay, this is definitely the person that I want to work with. Because from a piece of content, I kind of feel like when people see another person in their DMs inquiring on their services, they immediately think that they're a hot lead. And by hot lead, I mean someone who is like, you could literally just say, here's my prices, and expect to get the sale, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people make that mistake of like being like, here's my price list, and away you go. Because most people will reach out and ask, how much are your services, on that initial message. But I advise anyone who, even when you see that
Don't
from any
don't.
potential leaders, don't give
Yeah.
them the cost yet. Like, you have to dig deeper into exactly what they are looking for,
Mm-hmm.
because their understanding of what you offer and everything that they want, like you two haven't come to a common agreement yet of like, you know, who is this person, what do they really need? Okay, because this person is not the same as the 200,000 other people that I've been speaking to in this post. Okay, they are an individual, they have needs, they have desires. So that conversation needs to happen, or you need to lead them to a place where they can qualify themselves, and then they look at other people and they feel like, okay, so for example, when I say qualify themselves, you take them to a landing page that talks about your services, that walks them through all of the challenges that they are facing, and then they see people that are like them, that have given you like a testimonial to say that I went from this to that after working with this person, completely transformed my life. So now they're seeing other people, they feel part of a group, they feel connected with you, because they're like, okay, this person has the exact same problem as me. And then they go through, they read more about what's in it for them, and then they finally come back to you to say, this is everything that I need,
Mm-hmm.
but this is it. You have to establish everything that they need as an individual before they are ready to sell. And this can often be one of the biggest barriers behind, like, you know, solopreneurs not seeing the sales that they want, because I know a lot of people that have been getting inquiries, but they're like, it's just not turning into a
Yeah.
sale. So that has been one of the biggest things for me.
Yeah, I agree. And it's all a part of building that trust we were talking about, right? It's like when you say how much is your rate or like this, and you're just like, oh, this much. It's like, it seems a little like, again, screw you, pay me, you know? Like, here's my rate, give
Exactly.
it to me. But it's like, yeah, as you said, it's all about like building that trust, the landing page, the testimonials. It's all like people like go through that process and it builds trust, right? And another thing you mentioned, you said a lot of times people think the content they put out is enough. So when like customers message them, they take a long time to get back to them. And something I've noticed a lot of successful brands do is when you send them an email or a message or whatever, almost immediately you receive an email or a message that says, hey, we got your message, we might like not be in the office right now, but we'll get back to you within 24 hours. And just seeing it, you know, it's an automated message usually, but just like the fact that they thought of doing that, so you just get a response back, because they might respond to you like the next day or the day after that, but instead of you forgetting about it, or you know, like just sitting there waiting like, well, how come, at least they let you know that like, we thought about letting you know that we're not going to respond to you immediately right now. It might take like 24 to 48 hours. And that's, again, that builds trust.
Exactly. It's assurance. It's saying
Yeah.
it's assurance, and it's acknowledging. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, even as you said, you know that it's automated,
Yeah.
but it's in place to psychologically tell you that this person is going to get in touch. I'm not being ignored. I feel heard.
Yeah. There's so much psychology that goes into everything, but especially into selling. Selling is so directly related to psychology, and like, just, it's like you're coddling almost your customers, you know. You have to like, it's not just like, oh, here's this great thing I have, you want it, pay me here. No, it's like there's so much that goes into it. It's fascinating. I know we're running out of time, and I just I guess as a last question, um,
Sure.
I want to ask you, what is a question that I didn't ask you that you think I should have?
Oh, oh, that
Caught you off guard there,
that's
huh?
you did. Because honestly, like, this has been an absolutely wonderful conversation, and I know that you had so many other questions for me, but you know, me just being cheeky and sneaking it and looking over the questions that you sent me, I would, you know, one extra question isn't going to hurt, and I try and find like the best one. Um,
For sure. I asked like almost all of them. I think there's like a couple more left, but I
you
just kind of
did.
I kind of wanted you to like just speak from experience. Like you
Yeah.
having worked in the field that you have and you being the expert that you are, what do you think would be a really good tip to give, or like really like what has been like a really big um experience you've had in your career that you think everybody needs to know this?
I love that. I love
Take
that.
your time,
Okay.
think about it.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
it
No, no.
wasn't in the draft I gave you, so take a moment. I can just like edit it out.
It's like I could just sit here and drink and it's all good. It's chill. No, I do. I have something, and because this has been playing on my mind for a very long time after kind of experiencing it myself and experiencing it with a lot of people that I'm so close to in my own community, that I've developed so many relationships with some absolutely phenomenal people, and it's this idea that we exit our 9 to 5 job with this idea to build our business and make something of ourselves. We think that entrepreneurship is the key to freedom, right?
Mhm.
And the reality is that it's not freedom. It it is not and never will be freedom. Whether it be that you build your own passive income empire and you manage to put systems in place, you still need to be there to oversee that and make that happen. If you are building a passive income empire, you need awareness, you need to continuously generate it, you have to show up for someone to serve them, right? You have to show them that whatever passive products you have is something that they need. So you need to maintain those conversations and love who you serve. But on the similar side, like if you're going into more of a service based industry, you are essentially jumping back into a 9 to 5. It's just you'll be working more hours to see your own baby thrive, right? So for anyone who is still in a 9 to 5 and is thinking entrepreneurship and freedom, is that you really have to put everything into it.
Mhm.
It's not freedom, not in the beginning and not for a long time. It's hard work. And I absolutely encourage everyone who wants to jump into entrepreneurship to do it, because it is beautiful. You surround yourselves with some absolutely amazing people, but don't mistake it for freedom. It is a challenge. It's hard work, but you can find a lot of fulfillment when you find an idea that you truly want to pursue. You got to
Yeah.
find something that doesn't feel like work.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what everyone says whenever it comes to, finding your passion or like starting a business. It's always like, don't think what other people would want, think what you would want that is not out there yet. And how can you put your own little like style or your own little like tweak on it and make it your own niche, right? So that it stands out a little bit.
Exactly that. It's again, it's finding your unique offer and understanding what is amazing about your own skill set, and
Mm-hmm.
also using your own understanding of people to identify that gap, right? Because we all have something unique about us all.
Mm-hmm.
And when we connect with people, when we find that specific type of people that we want to surround ourselves with in our life, when we learn about them, when we have those conversations, we start figuring out, okay, this person really needs this in their life. If you're listening, that's the most important thing, is that you need to be listening to people.
Mm-hmm.
Ask questions, find out about these people that you say that you care about. You care about someone, you be quiet, and you take in everything that they're struggling with, and then you go away and build something for them that makes you happy.
Mm, love that. All right. Well, thank you so much. With that, I'm going to wrap this up. And thank you for the
Okay,
time you gave me. And I hope
welcome.
everybody learns and likes it, and tell them where to find you and what's your Instagram and your podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram over on the Robbie Murray. That's the Robbie Murray. And for my podcast, it hasn't launched yet. We are still in the launch phases, but look out for 2 minutes, one question. It'll be CEO Sphere's 2 minutes, one question.
So each episode is 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Yeah, so something exciting there. It's a super like a very fast format for podcasts where in that 2 minutes we have one absolutely phenomenal kind of like powerhouse in the industry, like break down exactly what is going to help take their business to the next level in the shortest
Yeah.
space of time.
Yeah, you know, that's really awesome because it's going to be so easy to get like the biggest people ever, because you're going to hit them up and be like, hey, I need 2 minutes of your time. And I mean, like, they got to be a real asshole to be like, nah, you know what I mean? Whether like instead of like hitting people up and being like, hey, can I, like, I need an hour of your time. And I want
Do you
you to
know?
come to my studio, which is what I do. I'm like, hey, can you come to my studio and hang out for like a couple hours?
But this is it. It's so accessible. And, you know, we've actually found, strangely enough, that the people that have like 500,000 followers or like 1 million followers, they're actually more accommodating than the people that have like 100,000.
This is so funny you say that. I've been thinking this since I started my podcast, because I reach out to so many people and I realize that people that don't actually do much with their life are always the ones that play like such a hot shot. And like, I know, like, I don't know if this is like an unpopular idea, but like I see it all the time. I'm like, I reach out to like the best authors and like literal like professors, and they're so nice. Even if they can't make it, they like send me a really nice message and they're like, look, I'm in this contract for like 2 years, I can't go on anything else. And like they apologize and they're so nice about it. And then like some other people are like, I don't think you understand how busy I am, I run 3 businesses. And I'm like, okay.
But this is it. And I think you find that depending on the size of their audience as well, like, and it's not always about the size of the audience, but what I like to put it on is like the level of success right now. So someone who is not seeing that kind of like automated level of success where things kind of work in the background, it's ticking by, they have teams to handle everything. Like this person has more time on their hands, right?
Yeah.
They do minimal thinking because they've already gotten themselves to a point where
Yes.
they don't have to think all the time. But
It's very
someone who's still building that success is like, I don't have time because I'm still trying to build the dream.
Yeah, it's very true. Yeah, you're right. Most of those people actually have assistants.
And their assistants have assistants.
Yeah. Yeah. I hit up this one guy, and his assistant told me, I'll set you up with this person if you go out with me. I was like, you're gatekeeping this guy? I was like, it was kind of like, you know how I told you, like when I was selling the newspaper, the guy would be like, I'll take the subscription if you take my number. And I would like take the number, but like I would obviously never call them. But in this scenario, I was like, I'm not gonna go out with someone and like pretend like I'm interested for a whole evening. Like that's so fucked up.
Yeah, no, there is a level of professionalism that must
Yeah,
be
I
upheld
know.
in these situations. And please,
Right?
sir, no.
Right? I was like, I hope I see him at a party or something, like the main guy I was trying to get. And I would love to tell him, like, did you know your assistant is like doing this? It's so unprofessional.
Yeah, no, that is the dream, to get that moment of, by the way, it's the email communication. Do you condone this?
Right. Yeah. But I mean, there's no way to getting to that guy unless you pass this other guy. Oh,
Yeah,
well.
no,
We'll see
yeah.
what happens.
That's it. Reject all that crap, and again, it's
Yeah.
all about what you don't want in your life.
Yeah. And it's like, if it's meant to be, it'll be. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Thank you
Well,
so
fingers crossed.
much. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. I had a great conversation with you. I personally learned so much. and I'll put it up and I'll let you know when it's up, and you can, listen to it yourself as well.
Yeah, please let me know. And again, thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure meeting you. You've been absolutely amazing. I love the energy. And when you share it on your social media and things like that, let me know,
Absolutely.
because I will definitely be sharing it as well.
100%. Thank you so much. All
Thank
right.
you.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye bye.